United States Highway 219. Oh dear. US 219 is a north-south route throughout central western Pennsylvania, and it goes from the Maryland border to the New York border, passing through a lot of small towns along the way. The road is a child route of US 19, however it does not touch it. However, it does touch US 119, which will lead you to US 19 in West Virginia. Here is the map. US 219 in Pennsylvania travels from nearby the town of Salisbury and up to Bradford. The DerpHog also wanted me to state that US 219 is in grid 17 in Pennsylvania. Get ready folks, because this is a real journey. You're watching the Xavier 456. I post new highway content every week. If you like this kind of content, hit that like button. And if you really like it, hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. Here's my weekly reminder that you can request your exit or intersection down in the comments below. Next week, we will be doing my version of US 220. First off, we'll be talking about northbound US 219 in Pennsylvania. Before we get our welcome sign, we actually get this sign saying Flight 93 Memorial Highway. This was requested by the DerpHog. Once we've crossed in from Maryland, here is our minor welcome sign again. Shortly up the road, we can see our first mileage sign, and we get Salisbury 2 miles, and our bottom line is Meyersdale 7. That could be good. Meyersdale is going to be the first significant town we are going to be passing through. After Salisbury, Meyersdale is still holding up on the bottom line at 5 miles. I feel like Boynton isn't that important. I feel like from this point you should just be going Meyersdale and then Somerset. Here in Meyersdale, we can see the Great Allegheny Passage going on the Salisbury Trestle, which was formerly a railroad bridge until it got converted into a bike hike trail. This is a fantastic mileage sign. We got Somerset at 11 miles and then Johnstown at 41. Those are both sizable towns for this US highway, and I appreciate the fact that they put both towns on here. Here we are crossing over I-70 and I-76, the Pennsylvania Turnpike. We have a super indirect connection to it. And the weirdest part of that is, when we're going northbound, we get this exit for 70 and I-76 signed correctly for Pittsburgh and Harrisburg, but there was an exit earlier on this road that probably would have better led you to the turnpike. So maybe you could have signed it back there instead. Why do that, PENNDOT? And by the way, this was requested by Quartermanch 437. On this direction sign at this exit, Johnstown is still holding up, and it is now the primary at 28 miles away. Here is another awesome mileage sign as we leave Somerset. We get Johnstown at 26 and Ebensburg at 38. Pennsylvania is going all out with putting the sign primary on the top line and then skipping on to the next primary for the bottom line, which is really awesome. Here you meet US 30, and as I said in my 30 video, we get Jennerstown and Stoystown, which are not good. Those are like the next towns over. Here is your route to Johnstown. It is PA 56, and it's only signed Johnstown Expressway. You're just signing the name of the expressway, but at least the city is on that sign, so I guess it's okay. When we get another mileage sign after Johnstown, we only get one city this time, and it is Ebensburg at 15 miles away. Even though it's just one city, it is sensible enough. We meet with US 22, and it is getting West Blairsville when I feel like it should be Pittsburgh, and 22 East Hollidaysburg when it definitely should be Altoona. And here, PENNDOT is actually being pretty helpful, telling us North 219 to US 422, and they sign Indiana for US 422. And we get Carrolltown. That was discussed in my US 22 video, but I hope that is a secondary and not a primary. Here you meet the western split of US 422, and it gets signage for Indiana, going westbound, put that paw there, I say again, and Ebensburg because it is going east a little bit as it ends right in the town of Ebensburg. Well done. This here is definitely one of the dumbest mileage signs you will see on US 219. We only get one city, and it is Carrolltown. Nothing else on there. Carrolltown, just 8 miles away. And then once we get into Carrolltown, we get signage for Northern Cambria. And to be honest, that would have been a better choice to put on that previous mileage sign. You could have gone with Carrolltown being on the top line and Northern Cambria being on the bottom line, or, you know, Northern Cambria being the secondary and DuBois being the... Ugh! PENNDOT! Why do you do what you do? Ugh! This makes no sense at all. Why? Why would you do this? Why would you have Carrolltown when you have Northern Cambria that is pretty close by. Like, Northern Cambria is actually bigger in population than Ebensburg. Why would you not have that on the mileage sign coming out of Ebensburg? Like, why? Why would you do that? You know what? Let's just move on. Once we get away from Carrolltown and Northern Cambria, we get our next mileage sign. Cherry Tree 4 miles, and then DuBois is our primary at 46. This is well done. But then our DuBois signage goes away as we get Mahaffey at 16 miles away. And they're only doing this because of PA 36. I'm sure that DuBois is still our primary though, and this is another case of the secondary being signed. They won't tell us on any mileage signs, but once we get into Mahaffey, the DuBois signage finally comes back. North 36 here gets Punxsutawney, and that is the right choice. This is another request by Quartermunch437, and the reason that he requested it is because 36 South gets the control city of Altoona! Yay! That is a fantastic control city for PA 36 here, 42 miles away. DuBois still holds up on the bottom line, but we do also get Grampian, another intersection town, and Clearfield, where this road from Grampian is going. It's cool because we don't actually get Kerwinsville, we just skip to Clearfield, which is pretty awesome for PA 879. I have one more request from Quartermunch437 to show you. For a little bit, we're going to be concurrent with US 322, and we get signage for both DuBois and Punxsutawney. The reason we're signing Punxsutawney is because of 119. If you want to go back to 119, Punxsutawney is the way to go. Brookville is also signed here for US 322. Here's where we split, and we get Brookville 20 for West 322, and DuBois at only 3 miles for North 219. Once we get our mileage sign after that, we get DuBois at 2 miles, and then Brockway at 13 miles. Brockway is not the right choice. I feel like it should be Ridgeway, as that has more intersections. The only reason we signed Brockway is because of PA 28, which gets Brookville. And we're signed for Ridgeway, as I mentioned earlier. That is the right choice. Here we get probably the most awesome mileage sign on the entire route. We get Ridgeway as a secondary at 16 miles, but our primary is now Bradford, which is signed 60 miles away. Very far away. Quartermunch437 had already given this mileage sign his own Rare Pennsylvania W, because that distance is just stunningly amazing for a US highway in Pennsylvania. Now here's an interesting bit. On the way to Ridgeway, we get this sign every 500 feet where we see trucks over 7,000 pounds gross weight need to stop, as we are about to go down a big hill that trucks really aren't suited for driving on. Here we get this map sign, as we see that trucks are supposed to go 20 miles an hour, and the designated stop signs and runaway ramps down this hill. Trucks over 7,000 pounds are directed to go onto the right lane. No trucks are supposed to go down the main road if they are over 7,000 pounds. Though once upon a time, in 2008, someone was cheeky enough to go down this route, which is for the trucks to go down the hill into Ridgeway. As you can see, the road is less steep. If a truck that is not over 7,000 pounds goes down the main road, then we see this speed limit 20 sign over the speed limit 45 sign. Trucks should also remain in low gear as they go down the hill. Anyways, we now enter Ridgeway, where we meet with PA 948, and signage goes to Corsica, which is actually on PA 949. Warren is an awesome control city for PA 948, because it's going to be merging into US 6 a long ways away. Anyways, we are now signed for Bradford, which is really the last significant town going northbound in Pennsylvania before we can really be on the road to Buffalo. On this mileage sign, we can see Johnsonburg is on the top line at 7, and Bradford is still holding up on the bottom line at 43 miles. Still pretty far, and amazing work by PENNDOT here. Once we enter Bradford, though, our control city becomes Salamanca. And even though that is in New York, it is still pretty darn small to be a control city. It is not the right choice heading northbound, because I'm sure all of the traffic at this point will be going to Buffalo. Although, PENNDOT is probably at it again signing its secondaries, so let's see what they do. Here is our final mileage sign in Pennsylvania, and we get Salamanca, 16 miles away on the bottom line, and we get Limestone on the top line at 4 miles away. PENNDOT, can you please hear me out for just a second? Why is limestone on this sign? You don't need that there. Put Salamanca on the top line, and then put Buffalo on the bottom line. Nobody is going to limestone at this point. All of the traffic is going to Buffalo. Oh my friggin' lord, limestone. PENNDOT, why would you sign these New York towns like this instead of signing Buffalo? Oh my god, I have a frickin' headache. You know what? I'm done. Go to Quartermanch 437 for more information. Let's talk about southbound US 219 in Pennsylvania. Here is the major welcome sign again. Not gonna rant about it. Once we enter Bradford, our first southbound control city for 219 is Ridgeway. And again, that is a sensible choice. We have a few intersections there, and that's the reason for signing it. Here's our first mileage sign as we come out of Bradford. We get Custer City at 2 miles, and our primary is still Ridgeway at 42 miles. Well done. But then once we're in Ridgeway, our control city becomes Brockway. Again, not good. And DuBois actually makes more sense than Brockway. But DuBois does come onto this mileage sign, 28 miles away, and we get signage for Kersey, which is for PA 948, and then Brockway is our secondary now. Also, I haven't showed you downtown DuBois yet. This is what it looks like. I actually visited it once on my way to New York City, and I stopped at this Luigi's Ristorante to eat some pizza. I only decided to have their white pizza, but it was pretty good nonetheless. Here we meet with US 119, this is where it starts, and we saw this recently. We get Punxsutawney for it, and we now get a control city of Ebensburg. So we skip over Northern Cambria this time. You're in favor of something slightly smaller, but it has more junctions. Here we come into the concurrency with US 322, and it gets signage for Clearfield going eastbound. We still get our signage for Ebensburg. Quite far away, 58 miles. Here we split from US 322, and now US 219 has dropped Ebensburg and replaced it with Curwensville. What has happened? Well, let's see the next mileage sign for this information. We get Grampian, which is our next junction town at 10 miles, but we also get Curwensville. That is not even on US 219 at all. It's on PA 879, which wasn't even signed for Curwensville to begin with. It was signed for Clearfield, so why is that even on the sign? Anyway, we get Ebensburg at 55 miles still. Here we meet with US 22 again, and we get Hollidaysburg and Blairsville again. Should be Altoona and Pittsburgh. And now we get South 219 Johnstown. Wonderful. The mileage signs aren't as epic going southbound, but we do get one city on this sign, and it is sensible, Johnstown. Here's our exit for Johnstown, PA 56 for Johnstown Expressway, but we also get another mileage sign devoted to the next exits. We're a freeway here. Again, we only get one city on a mileage sign, and this time it's Somerset, so that is also sensible. Here is the so-called exit to the turnpike when it is really far away from it. We get 1776 Pittsburgh-Harrisburg as it is. Now, once we get a mileage sign, we only get Meyersdale at 5 and then Salisbury at 10. Meyersdale is the only significant town from here, so I don't see why Salisbury should be signed. Maybe you should sign something in Maryland, like I-68 or Oakland. But now, Salisbury becomes the primary, which is just very provincial at this point. I know there's not much out here, but you could go further to Oakland. Yet another dumb mileage sign. We get Salisbury at 6 and nothing else. If you were to include another thing, just put Maryland or I-68 on there. Or even Oakland. Here's a pretty high point on US 219, Mount Hunsrück, and the elevation is 2,239 feet. Nice. Once we're in Salisbury, we then get the next available town on this route, Grantsville. And while it's true that PENNDOT has run out of things to sign in their own state, Grantsville is only on the I-68 concurrency, so why not go with Oakland, as I've stated earlier? And look at that, you do. You put Oakland on the bottom line at 36 miles away. Wonderful job there. This is how you should be signing out-of-state control cities, not like Limestone. Anyway, welcome to Maryland. And that is it for this video. So as you may have noticed, this video was based off of Quartermanch 437's 2 videos of the same route. But not to worry, the next video will be from my perspective, and not based on anybody else. Thanks all, and I will see you next week for my version of US 220 and my version of I-99.